Shall we play a game?
We got Star Wars Unlimited. We got classic Star Wars games. We got old school D&D, independent RPGs, mini painting, Warhammer, of course, tons of other games. But first, we're gonna need some coffee here on Board Barista Productions.
Oh, that's what D&D has done. Okay.
Oh, what have they done?
No, D&D Beyond adopted the new book, hence why I have the character, the 5th level orc, human, barbarian, 5th level. She's pretty much Star Wars Wookiee in D&D form. So my Wookiee character is the same as my D&D character. Another character that I have hidden because I created it out in D&D Beyond, but Josh was like, no, that's not what we need for this. That's when I came up with Willow. After I forgot I did the orc. The orc was the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And I just said, random, I want a level 5 character. And that's what it gave me. So I finally sat down and actually read through her stuff, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I'm like, wait, that's the Wookiee I'm playing. Like, hand combat is so strong.
Oh, yeah. And we will be getting around to reviewing here on Retro Review. We will be getting around to reviewing my Star Wars D6 books. But for right now, we're still stuck in the Dragon Magazine run. So tonight's issue is Dragon Magazine number 314. I think until we get into like 317, I think that was the end of my subscription. But once the numbers aren't sequential anymore on these episodes, you'll know that's when my subscription ran out. But yeah, tonight's issue, like I said, 314, is the Elemental Magic themed issue. And we're starting off with Gary Gygax's Up on the Soapbox column, like we always do, going through these. Gary was talking about the unearned levels are the player character's worst enemy. So Gygax tells the story of a 13th level ranger in basically the hands of a 3rd level player. How the ranger was recklessly fought for wraiths and got lost level drained down to being 9th level. This guy was basically going through the dungeon just like everyone else is like, no, it's too powerful. He's like, I got this, everybody. I'm gonna run in here and and kill the monsters and get the XP. And ended up losing 4 levels. Then they find this smoldering cauldron that's got a lid on it, and they're all like, maybe we should leave that alone. He's like, no, we got this. And he smashes it open, and there's a very unhappy large fire elemental inside of it. The party at that point is like, peace, you got this, we're leaving. And yeah, so his character ends up dying, and Gary just told the guy like, hey man, I'm sorry you lost such a powerful character. Sorry I put so much work into it, but you know, you got to be a little bit more careful with these high level characters. And it was because it was a game that was being run at like Origins, one of the big gaming conventions.
Okay.
So, next article is the Brotherhood of the Burning Heart. It's a philosophical order born of a bard's guild that focuses on fire and passion. Some handy fire spells like Fireheart, which deals 1d4 fire damage to the target each turn, but they glow like a torch. Then Slow Burn basically makes fires last twice as long and makes them twice as hard to put out. There's some feats for improved fire spells and abilities. There's the Fire Soul creature template, which if it makes an attack on a bard, it can actually like name one of its bard, like choose a bard spell, and the bard can't cast that song. So it's like no stairway, denied. I recently had that whole that whole thing about like why did they say no stairway to heaven, and like for like the VHS copy of Wayne's World, it was the completely like that's not stairway to heaven. They didn't have the rights to it. Musical trivia. Anyways, back on topic. Next article is Dust to Dust. It's the magic of the Earthborn. It's a cult which worships the ground. They're lawful neutral. So we get some earth spells like Earth Grace, which makes stone and earth weapons that deal damage to the target only deal non-lethal damage. Mountain Stance makes you harder to be able to be knocked over or moved against your will. Stone Mantle makes an object as hard as stone. And Tremor lets you make a small distracting earthquake.
So Stone Mantle, can it like, if I decide to Stone Mantle my fist as a character, will that turn to stone, or does it need to be?
Has to be an object. So you could take like a glass figurine, and make it be as hard as stone, and hit somebody with it.
Okay.
Or make a chair as hard as stone and hit somebody with it.
Would I need the strength to lift it up where it's stone now, or would it still be as light as that chair? Original material.
I think it would still be as light as the chair. It would just be as hard as stone.
Okay.
It's a magic spell. Plus we get some magical items like clay of sculpting, like the fantastical magical paints where you can paint something and it becomes real. This is like Play-Doh that you shape into something and then it becomes real.
Nice.
But it's made out of stone. And there's a Staff of Earth and Might, which basically lets you be able to cast a bunch of these stone and earth-based spells, as well as a few others from the Player's Handbook. There's the new monster, which is the Creeping Stone. It's basically an ooze that looks like rock, that when it covers somebody, it will petrify them and turn them into a statue. I thought that was really cool.
It's almost like, I can't remember her name. Last Airbender. She's the Earthbender. Blind Earthbender. She kind of coats people in rock, liquid, creeping stone.
Yeah, this very much feels like an Avatar the Airbender themed issue with all the elemental stuff. The next article is Master of the Four Winds. It's an air magic order of elven monk and clerics, which also has like some other classes involved into it. There's the 4 different prestige classes. There's the Master of the North Wind, which gets you the ability to wild shape into birds and even into a gaseous form. So you become like a being of gas. The South Wind gets sneak attacks. The East Wind gives you a familiar, and your arcane levels stack with like levels of this can stack with your arcane levels for monk abilities. The West Wind gets turn undead, and you get to stack. You get to stack cleric and monk levels. And then there's a bunch of like wind spells. Like one of them was like tsunami or something like hurricane. Then next article is Guardians of the Deep. It's an organization of good guys near the seas of the Underdark. So there's a bunch of feats for water-based games and matching water spells for venturing above and below the waves. So stuff that lets you have better movement, be able to generate air pockets, all that stuff you need when it's like, okay, we're going to the water level. And there's the Dark Water Knight, which is a prestige class, which sounds like it would be kind of paladin-y, but instead it's a water-themed ranger. So they get like favored enemy bonuses and stuff like that. The next article is the Searing Flames. It's the ecology of the salamander, which are those like top half man, bottom half snake, we live in lava monsters.
Yes,
so
these guys.
And come back a little bit. It's way too lit up there.
Yeah, sucky part. I found the magazine.
Oh, nice. So you got tips and notes on their layers, society, biology, tactics, all that type of stuff. Just to make the encounters with them a lot more real. The next article is channeling the 4 elements. It's some elemental prestige classes. So we get the Earth Shaker, which has like earth-based divine magic, tremor abilities, can cause earthquakes, summon geysers. We have the Ice Singer, which is an ice bard, which gets cold resistance and more cold-based spells and abilities. We got the Firestorm Berserker. The barbarian is on fire. And then we have the Pure Breath Devotee. I was reading the stuff that happens in that. Like, they get the whole thing of like, I breathe the perfect clean air and it makes me immune to diseases and lets me heal people by letting them breathe clean, pure air. And I'm like, so you made the air purifier into the cleric? It's like the medic? Like, you're just like, what do? You put the dice tower, you duct tape the dice tower to the air humidifier and you throw the dice in? Yeah, it felt very much like that one felt like a reaching thing. And I actually had to take a break last night to go to bed because like, I'm done, to come back to this magazine before I got home from work. Well, when I got home from work, I finished up the notes. That's why we're going a little quick on these ones. The next article is the revised psionics review. So they showcased, because they were coming out with a new expanded revised psionics handbook for 3.5 edition. So they showed us the SNAD, SYNAD. It's a 3-mind humanoids. In their natural form, when they're not disguised themselves to look human, they actually have like 2 ethereal heads on their shoulders.
Okay.
They have like 3 minds. So they're focusing on multi-classing, multitasking, and psionic abilities. Next, we have the D&D miniatures under command. It's a sample dungeon using the WizKids minis. This one's like a bandit camp cave that they have set up for everything. Next article, I thought this one was really cool. It's the Silicon Sorcery article, and they're taking a look at the magic item sets from Heroes of Might and Magic 4. And in video games, there's this whole idea, like if you collect all the different pieces of a certain set of armor, or all the, all the set of a magical item set, the more pieces of the set you have, the better the items are. So they gave like these sample wizards, these fight, like a set of 5 pieces of armor, a set of wizards gear for all the different classes, where you have like 3 to 5 different pieces of equipment you got to go find. And I'm like, that has always been kind of cool. And I think it would be nice to like do that with like some epic hero weapons of old, where it's like scattered throughout the realm and you got like these unique artifact level magical items. You gotta go find all the pieces, and when you get them all together, it's like, ha. So I thought that was really cool. Next article starts our Wizards Workshop section. This is where they're giving tips, tricks, and advice to players and DMs. The first article in that section is the Dungeon Craft article. They give a sample dungeon, the Reliquary of Korthun. It's a temple crypt for a god of life and longevity. It's doing a decent thing, because they've been doing this whole like how to build your dungeon, how to think out your dungeon. And then it's like, here's the example of a well thought out dungeon that works together. So it's kind of a nice little capping stone to that whole past couple art magazine articles. Next up, the Play is the Thing. This is the article that focuses on improving your skills as a player, and they talk about spellcaster archetypes. They got 6 different types of spellcasters, and I'm gonna list them, and we'll both like say which kind we usually end up playing. There's the Blaster. which is all about slinging spells that deal damage. The Director, which is the medic slash putting buffs on the other players. There's the Protector, which puts all the defensive shielding spells onto everybody. The Spellmaster, which is the toolbox spell, like your Arcane Lock and the right spell that works out to figure out any problem-solving things you need. The Seeker, which uses scrying and detection magic. And the Trickster for mind effects, charms, and stealth spells. So I know just because of how I end up having to be in the party most of the time, playing some sort of medic, I usually end up playing the Director. I'm always putting like the buffs on other people or handing out the cure spells. Tanya, what kind of spellcaster do you normally end up having to play?
The Protector. There's always this one character that's like, I don't want to follow him. But he wants me to go ahead of him. No, I don't want to be ahead. I don't want to follow, but I need to follow in order to save his butt from whatever he's gonna do.
I always end up having to be like, I don't want to lead the party, and I don't want to have to keep them alive. I always I wish I could just play the flashy. I've got all the cool either I got all the utility spells and I can just be like, snap my fingers and we can just walk through the dungeon and solve this thing, no problem. Or I want to play the blaster, just like fireball. Like I came up with an idea in 3.5 where you take dual wand wielding, okay, and you take a bunch of meta magic crafting feats, and you can basically have 2 wands of magic missile that shoot out I think it was you get to have 10 magic missiles around. And every 5 rounds, I would have to use the wand bracers that I have to get a new set of drumsticks. And it was I was a wizard that played the drums. And I was just, I was like, I want to play this so bad, but everybody's like, we don't have a healer. We don't have a paladin. I'm like, fine. And the last article is the Sage Advice, the monthly FAQ column where people are like, hey, how do we solve this? Let's write into a magazine and wait to see if they ever publish my question. And if you wanted a more direct, immediate one, you could have called that 1-800 number and gotten to talk to a real person. Ooh. So the takeaway things that kind of stood out to me about these questions. So in 3rd edition, they introduced the idea of taking 20, which is you could take forever doing something and actually roll a 20. Instead of rolling, you just get a 20. But it took forever to do. You can't take 20 when you're trying to activate a scroll. You have to roll. It's one of the few times where it's no, you can't take forever doing this. You got to act. And if you fail to activate a scroll, you don't end up using up the scroll. It has to actually get cast and go off before the scroll will burn up or go blank or however your DM likes it, or crumble to dust. However your DM likes to visualize those one-use items. Another thing is you can't do non-lethal damage with a sneak attack. If you are attacking somebody in a vital organ / lethal spot to get extra damage, you can't just make it hurt really, really bad. It's going to kill them. So you cannot sneak attack gently. And one thing I wanted to point out, now I'm going to show the back cover of this magazine real quick. All right. So it's a ad for the Origins 2004 tournament. You'll see here they have a stack of well-used role-playing books.
Yep.
That's the top one is the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons first edition. That is either, I believe that's the player's handbook. We have the Skills and Powers books for second edition underneath of that. And then we have a second edition AD&D player's handbook right there. Oh, that's thick. That might actually be the monster manual. The top character sheet on this is a second edition AD&D character sheet. Of course, your number 2 pencil. You can't go wrong without it. With a number 2 pencil. You got your dice bag. You're going to use those dice any edition. The only current new stuff, and I'm pretty sure these are not even third edition. They're just like they're not 3.5, but the third edition players character sheets are on the bottom. Like, so much of this ad is not advertising current D&D. And I think that's a tale of the times when it's like, yeah, the players like the old editions.
Yeah.
Your new stuff that's all ooh, flashy, come buy it. Nobody's really like, oh, yeah. Like, I thought that was fitting even before we sat down to record tonight, but talking about during last week's little tirade at the end, it's like, that's why I like doing retro reviews. I'll play 5th edition. I'll play the new version because that's what my friends want to play, and that's what my friends got for books. But I really enjoy a lot of these old classic editions. I'm not planning on getting rid of my AD&D collection of books because if I'm playing D&D, that's the edition I want to play. That's the edition that me and Josh, Tanya's boyfriend, still boyfriend, right? He has not pulled the trigger on saying yes to the engagement yet, has he?
No, he hasn't.
Everybody leave that in the comment section below. Josh, man up.
There's a lot of things going on, and
I know. I'm just but no, that's the edition me and Josh played with our friends back in the day. A lot of sentimental value. I know it's crunchier. It's not as streamlined as 3rd edition and 5th edition is, where it's like you don't have to do a lot of math, but it feels like it's not, because it's more complex and there's a lot more hoops to jump through. It's not as easy to get like way overpowered characters in 2nd edition as it is to get them in 3rd edition, and it's a lot more lethal combat because not everything has got bucketed hit points and lots of armor and everything from like 5th edition or like the death saving throws. Like, it's crunchier. It's a lot more work to get more powerful and a lot more deadlier than the current editions, which is like my big gripe against those. So, but I like enjoying the old editions and talking about them and going through all this stuff. Even though 3rd edition was my 3.5 was my second favorite fantasy setting for games. But all right, that's all I got for this week.
Well, you could also say, there's little comics in the back too.
I
Dork Tower.
I skip over the comics. And I skip over the letters
Okay.
section. The comics are like I feel like the comic section in these magazines are a bonus feature. The letters are very much like a time capsule of the time type of thing. Like, diving into those would be interesting, but it doesn't distract from like what you really were buying the magazine for was the articles. And the comics were they're just bonus on there, but I would definitely recommend at some point. I think I'll probably get like some of the trade paperbacks for some of these comics that were in the Dragon magazines. Talk about those individually and let them really have a spotlight to shine, because plus, I don't want to read a joke that somebody else put in there. You don't get the laugh if somebody has to read the joke to you.
Sure.
So, all right. All right, that's what I've got. Anything on any comments, concerns, questions, thoughts, or ideas?
Nope.
All right.
There's other conversations going on. I don't have a clue what they are. I'm just hoping they don't come across. But no, I'm glad I actually found a website that allowed me to view the article, view the magazine, with you being down in New Orleans with them, and I actually got to view them up here. It was like, okay.
Nice. All right, I'll send you a list of the next couple of ones, the next numbers. So by the time we get ready to record next time, you'll have had a chance to go over as well.
Yeah.
Because we only have like 6 more issues that I own. It's either 6 or...
Then I can share the website with you that you can find these other ones.
Here's the thing. We have 5 more issues.
Okay.
And I just want to go through my own personal collection. So if it's something I don't have, I'm not going to go through it. Because we have all of my Star Wars RPG books to go through. We have a bunch of others. There's a whole tote hidden behind the green screen full of the last run of my books. And I really want to get to the point where I can end retro reviews and we can like move on from it and have like the Council of Nerds and have a topic of the week and do more of a podcast thing. So if I don't own it, we ain't talking about it. And if we can get through everything I own, like once we get to the last book I have, I'm like, I haven't talked about this one. I'm like, retro reviews is done. But the problem is I keep buying stuff because I keep finding stuff. So it doesn't end. But soon, hopefully this year, we will end it. And I'll be like, okay, wait until I got another tote full of books. And we'll be like, okay, we're bringing the show back. But until then, that's been this week's Retro Reviews. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, sticking through to the end. Peace.
Peace. We'll see you all next week.
Hey everybody, thanks for staying till the end of the episode. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Follow us on Facebook at Board Barista Productions. And if you want to support us, Patreon link at the bottom.